Good evening and welcome to Breaking Views on NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. That's the big question, ladies and gentlemen. 60 hours after one of the worst train tragedies that this country has seen, people are still asking, just not the people, those who have suffered, people across the country. 2 crore people every single day, citizens of this country, use the Indian Railways. They are worried about their safety and so is their family. They are asking the question, where does the buck stop as far as the Balasore train accident is concerned? Is the answer, as the opposition is saying, the resignation of the railway minister? Or is the answer for the government to look within, bear the facts, talk to its people, not hide behind a wall of PR? The question, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment is just not about how we overcome this. It is also about an impartial, in-depth and completely transparent probe so that the country does not add more numbers as far as railway accidents are concerned. 275 could just be numbers for us. We'll go in the data as well. Many families have been devastated completely. Their world changed completely. And that is why it is important to ask these questions. Without getting into a tutu meme, we'll try and get senior voices, people, those who are from on both sides, against the government, asking serious questions, trying to show some light to the government, and those who say that the government is really working hard to make the situation better. Before we go to that, let me very quickly give you an update of what has happened after 60 hours. Very importantly today, the CBI probe has been lodged as far as this case is concerned. It has started. CBI has taken over the investigation. The CBI probe is looking if the interlocking system was tampered with. Was there a deliberate conspiracy? CBI team will reach the accident site tomorrow. CBI special crime branch will investigate this matter. The opposition is saying CBI is for criminal matters. Why is the government only trying to deflect possibly on the negligence part as far as the railways is concerned? Meanwhile, NDTV has also been able to access the FIR in this entire matter. The first information report registered with the Odisha police. Charges of causing death by negligence, charges of causing grievous hurt, endangering lives or safety of others. Culpability of specific employees not ascertained. Culpability will be unearthed in investigation. Railway employees, private individuals will also be investigated as far as this case is concerned. As I told you, the opposition right from day one has been saying that the government has just been whitewashing, trying to project a picture while neglecting many crucial issues. Mallikarjun Kharge, the leader of the opposition, the Congress president today, wrote to the Prime Minister. He said CBI is meant for probes of crimes, not railway accidents. He also said CBI can't fix technical, political, institutional failures. 3 lakh posts vacant in the Indian Railways. Why were the red flags ignored is what Mallikarjun Kharge has been asking. In response, the government is showing the data, showing the numbers, showing the track record of the UPA era and others. The government says safety is their first priority. Resignation of the railway minister is not going to change anything as far as ground is concerned. The government defends him, says he's been on the ground for a very long time. There, leading from the front. But there are serious questions and red flags which have been raised by the CAG report. Between 2017 and 2022, report about how the government spending on safety has reduced. Many other red flags as far as the overall functioning of the railways, the maintenance of the railway track, very important, that has been completely neglected. At least that is what the CAG report in many cases show. In the last 4 years, ladies and gentlemen, more than 70% cases of derailment have taken place in Indian Railway. 3 of the 4 accidents in Indian Railway are because of derailment. In context of all these questions, and also in February, a letter was written by a senior official of the Indian South Western Railway, red flagging the very cause which in fact then turned fatal for more than 275 people and about 900 those who have been injured. Was there a deliberate negligence? Isn't this criminal negligence on the part of the railways? So before, in fact, putting questions on the conspiracy and getting it to the CBI, should the railways be looking within? Were red flags being ignored? And is Railway Minister's resignation the answer for all these problems? Let's very quickly open this up, because this is what we have been asking on Breaking News. 275 deaths by negligence. Who is responsible? Let's very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, let me introduce for the first part of my, in fact, interaction at this moment. I am going across to Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. He is, in fact, third-time sitting MP, CWC member and Chair Parliamentary Standing Committee, Rajya Sabha. He is Member of Parliament of the Congress Party. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to NDTV. Without getting into a tutu-meme between the government and the opposition, I just wanted you to put your side, first, and just explain to our viewers, why does the opposition and your party think that Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, the Railway Minister, should resign?
Thank you, Ankit. Let me come to your question in about 30 seconds. The letter of the Congress President has several figures, some of which you mentioned. We have exercised, in fact, the entire opposition has exercised exemplary responsibility in being not sensational about this accident. It's the most heart-rending and heart-wrenching accident. But unless and until we raise those figures, we would be abdicating our responsibility. And before I come to Mr. Vaishnav, just consider 3 lakh vacancies. You've reduced the manpower from 18 lakhs to 12 lakhs, and we all agree that the railways were overstaffed. But when you reduce so drastically and you have 3 lakh vacancies in the existing strength, you are clearly putting a huge overtime, overwork burden on the existing people. And this is where it is showing. You have not only the CAG report, which you mentioned, which sadly and tragically talks about reduction in expenditure on rail safety, but you have the Parliamentary Standing Committee, which says that barely 8 to 10% of cases are examined by the Commissioner of Rail Safety of trail accidents. This huge thing about examination, collating, extrapolating results is limited to 8 to 10%. 70%, in fact, you said 75, I'm saying 70% are because of derailment. Now, let me, remember one thing, the Rashtriya Rail Suraksha coach has decreased by 79 to 80%. I mean, that's a ridiculous figure. This renaming spree, very sad. It is we who started this anti-collision system, which has a proper name, from 2011. This government renamed it the Kavach in 2022. The Congress President's letter points out, and I could not believe it when I saw it, 4% is covered by Kavach. The Honorable Prime Minister goes and inaugurates Vande trains every other day, calls it Kavach. That's purely renaming. The scheme started in 2011, and you have 4% coverage. Now let me come to your resignation point. It is completely misunderstood and distorted. As a matter of fact, Mr. Ashwin is a very nice man. It's not because he happens to be from my hometown. He's a sincere person. He's a technocrat kind of person. And I really, I have nothing against him personally. A resignation of a person is not meant to show that Ankit did something personally to cause the negligence. Nobody says you pushed a button wrongly. A resignation of a minister is totally different. It is meant to convey a moral sense of responsibility. And the result of that moral sense of responsibility, especially for the degree it matters, this is a huge, huge accident.
Right.
It is that moral responsibility conveys that future rail ministers will go out of their way to take special extra caution so that they don't have to resign. That's the purpose of this. Nobody suggests that he's personally in any manner culpable.
Absolutely. But Mr. Singhvi,
totally such an act. Now, also one last thing. It's good you keep on doing what you like about the CBI. But this is absolutely ridiculous. That is about some kind of a grand conspiracy theory, whether it is digression and derailment of public opinion, I don't know. I'll hold my horses at the moment. But certainly, it is ex facie not possible that it is not negligence. Okay. Because the signal system is like saying you're flying a plane and the air traffic controller sends 2 planes on the same path. Now, he may not do it deliberately, but there is somewhere or the other an obvious error, which is why the system now. I mean, I find it strange that a person can go inside and change the circuitry and cause sabotage, and nobody is able to catch. Let the CBI investigate that. But you need to spend more on safety. You need to expand cover to 50, 70, 80%. You need to increase expenditure. You need to increase manpower. Those are not CBI issues.
Let me put the counter view that the BJP and the government is, in fact, on the arguments that you have put forward, sir, so that at least we understand what your point of view on that is. On the CAG report, the government says that the comparison is being done between 2017 to 2021. That was when the Modi government is in power. It's not looking at the larger trend. If you compare it to 2013-14, when when UPA was in power, there has been a significant increase, and a trend is of increasing spending on the safety. That's what they say on the CAG report.
Ankit, there is an English word for this. It's called whataboutery. I have low expenditure, but you had even lower. This is absolutely irrelevant today. You have been in power for how long? 9 years. In 9 years, if you have to hearken back to 13, 14 in the aftermath of a tragic incident like this, is the worst kind of whataboutery. Tell me one thing, you could not manage the decrease of the rail Suraksha coach Kavach post by 79%, and you have to go back to 2013. Everything is legacy. You're talking in 2023 now. And this letter you talked about, by the way, is an 8th of February 2023 letter.
That's right.
Regarding a division of the railways. The letter makes very interesting reading. It talks about the anti-collision system, the very low coverage of Kavach, and the fact that these are prone to errors.
That's right. But Mr. Singhvi,
if this had happened in a Western country or even in a Far East country, the entire government had to resign. Forget a railway minister.
But Mr. Singhvi, the government says that Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, at a time when there is crisis, even on moral grounds, that doesn't change anything. He's the man who has been there on the ground for 60 hours. He's trying to make things work. He's also trying to see what can be done so that this does not happen again. They also quote examples of Mamata Banerjee, of Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar, he resigned, but he came back as the railway minister, and Mamata Banerjee offered to resign, but a resignation was not accepted. What's the point of this whole resignation business? It doesn't change anything on the ground.
I think the whole point is being misunderstood. I've already answered. I personally believe that Mr. Vaishnav is a very sincere man, a good man, and he has done nothing personally. The question of resignation is totally different. It is symbolic. And in this case, there is not even an offer to resign. I'm not talking about the minister. The instructions to him by the Prime Minister are, there is no offer to resign. There is no actual resignation. Nobody is suggesting that he should be outcast and never come back into politics. Nobody is saying that. But this is meant to convey a symbolic gesture which will make sure that the country realizes the gravity, the political class realizes the gravity, and any railway minister who takes charge will be looking out over his back, be very, very harsh on his officers, that this kind of thing should not recur, because it attaches responsibility right at the top. Now, no doubt this is vicarious responsibility.
Okay.
But vicarious responsibility in public life is very important. And nobody is suggesting a word about Mr. Vaishnav, the human being, the person.
Are you also, in a way, worried about the fact that Mr. Vaishnav, who holds multiple portfolios, many former railway ministers have indicated, does require a 24/7 kind of a hands-on job? Should that also be seen as far as the government is concerned? There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. The Modi government has a special penchant for clubbing ministerial posts, full ministries and departments. Never been done to the extent done by this government. But more than that, I think you have found that the railways are being treated just like another ministry. You saw the clubbing of the railway budget. You saw the clubbing of the railway ministry. Railway is actually a mega ministry. There are two ministries in the government of India which are mammoths. One is the rural development and the other is railway. So I think that, the best of people who work, and I can tell you straight away, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav is a very hard-working person. There's no doubt about it. But, there are limitations to managing these things, micromanagement. Right, Mr. Singhvi, thank you so much for taking the time out, sir, and speaking to us and putting forward your point of view and point of view of your party as far as this terrible tragedy is concerned. Thank you for speaking to Breaking Views. Let's just move on, and I want to now introduce Mr. Dinesh Trivedi. He's a former railway minister, was with the Trinamool Congress at the time when he was at the helm of that ministry, later and today is with the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, thank you so much for speaking to us. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi was speaking before you, and he, in fact, very categorically said that there has to be some sense of moral responsibility. People who have lost their loved ones, and the opposition party is asking for accountability. Why should the buck not stop at the office of the railway minister, sir?
I'm afraid those who are demanding resignation, there are two things. First of all, not with arrogance, but I would say that they have no idea about how the railways run. And second thing, besides politics, there is nothing else if they are asking for resignation. Because if anybody can guarantee that after resignation, everything is going to be honky-dory, then it's a different story. But while the captain is there in this kind of situation, you don't want the captain to leave. And I'm glad that we have a great minister for railways. He has been on the job for so many, now it's over 50 hours. Not that he's doing a favor, but his dedication and his knowledge and the way the lines have come about functional. So I think it's nothing beyond politics and nothing beyond ignorance to ask for resignation at this point in time.
But Mr. Trivedi, it's not just the opposition, or it's not the opposition, but the CAG report has punched serious holes in the railway ministry's focus on safety, or may I say the lack of it, sir. Can that be pushed aside as political attack? You've seen the report. It is very damning, sir.
Okay, I'll give you an analogy. That I give you all the funds, I give you all the manpower, and I tell you to build a 100-story building in 10 days. Even funds, when they are given, please understand there is a system. To deploy those funds, it cannot be deployed overnight. There is a process. And as far as the safety of Indian Railways is concerned, at the moment, the most important aspect is given to safety. So it's easily said that it was not deployed. It could be true, but the fact is everything takes time, and each and every stage, the safety department of the railways, including at times DRDO, comes into picture. They have got to approve each and every function of the initiative of new initiatives of the railways.
Right. Mr. Trivedi, you've been a former railway minister. You've held the very important department. In February this year, sir, the Chief Operative Manager, South-Western Zone, in a letter, had warned about serious flaws in the system. He raised these concerns about failure of the interlocking system. This warning, if heeded, could have saved lives, sir. Isn't this criminal negligence on the part of the railways rather than going out and, propagating this sabotage theory, sir?
Yeah, so we'll have to wait for the inquiry report to come out, and I'm sure when the inquiry takes place, whether it is by CBI or any such agency, they will go into each and every aspect of it. And as far as what you're talking about, what happened in February, I'm afraid I'm not the railway minister now, so I would not have access to what happened then, because a lot of things, when they come out in the media, they come out in pieces, and the pieces sometimes are not joined together. So on a half piece is very difficult. I can only talk to you about this particular situation. What happened, that in a very high speed, when the lines are given green signal, suddenly getting into the loop, it really points out as something which cannot be explained logically. So obviously, one has to get into and find out how could this happen. And don't forget, you had a good train full of iron ore. It was like a rock. and there was just no time for the loco pilot to really react and apply the brakes, because there's no time. It's all great inertia, great movement, and movement. That movement just crash into, let's say, a rock.
Right.
Because when the goods train is full of iron ore, it's just like a rock.
Yeah.
And whoever has, if some mischief has been played, whoever has played the mischief, if I'm using the word if, because nothing can be concluded till time the report comes, then it is very calculated move.
No, but there seems to be a deliberate attempt to move it towards the mischief angle, whether it is there or not. As you said, investigation will tell you. But one other criticism of the government is that you are, it's like a paying job. You are, launching new trains, Vande Bharat, this and that. But the focus on safety for more than 2 crore passengers that travel on Indian Railways every day, that is not there. The spotlight should have been more on safety than just launching new trains.
That you are presuming that that's not happening. But I can tell you with all my experience, every aspect of it is happening. Even when you talk about Vande Bharat, is one of the safest trains at the moment. And if you do not modernize and safety go hand in hand.
Is it also not true, Mr. Trivedi, that there have been massive vacancies, over 3.12 lakh posts which are lying vacant? That's as per the government data. Isn't this overburdening the staff? Isn't this an example of misplaced priorities as far as the government is concerned?
I think we should separate out 2 things. One is this particular accident, incident, sabotage, whatever it is, has nothing to do with what you are talking about. And I can tell you for sure that this government is looking into everything, and even to get all the vacancies fulfilled, it takes a long time, because you just don't want to get people just like that. You have to see the background, you have to interview, examination process, you have to ensure that all the regions and everybody is covered. So there is no question of asking that why did you not cover this region and that region. So one has to be very fair. Railway is a very complex network, and I think one of the most complex in the world. And I can tell you the railway people are one of the best. And to run this railway 24/7, it itself requires a lot of hard work and efficiency and dedication.
No question.
Which is taking place.
Mr. Trivedi, no question about the hard work and the dedication, but the fact is, sir, 275 people have lost their lives. More than 700, 800 are injured at this moment. So people are looking at questions. Is there any critical suggestion, sir? It seems that you have a defense for the government on every critical question that has been asked. Is there any suggestion that you have as a former railway minister for the government, or for the railway minister, current railway minister, for what they should do, they should change? Or is it just 10 on 10, because now you are with the BJP, from you, despite this catastrophe, sir?
Well, the critical suggestion, if I may have, that is for all our colleagues in the political arena, that please don't get into half knowledge is dangerous. And whenever it comes to national security, please have faith in the railways, please have faith in the people, please have faith in the government. Let the report come out, and then one can, when bisect that report, talk about it. Because if the railway board has suggested, mind you, it is the railway board which has suggested that there should be a CBI probe, it means they know something.
Right, they know something that possibly we don't know, but people really want to know what went wrong. Thank you so much, Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, for speaking to us here on Breaking Views. Ladies and gentlemen, like we keep going back and data is being thrown at our face. This happened in 1983, this happened in 1993. This is not the 80s and the 90s or even the 2000s. We are in 2023. No matter whether there are uncomfortable questions, the questions will be asked of the current dispensation. You made the promises which the others, your predecessors, could not keep. That's the reason why you were given this job. And when you mess up on that job, no matter what it is, questions will be asked of you. Whether resignation is the answer or not, that's a totally different argument. But the fact remains, the government can't run away from very serious questions that has been asked by the people, by the CAG report, and also from people within the railway department. Because serious answers, in-depth analysis, and being transparent and honest will prevent any such catastrophe to take place in the future. Thank you so much for joining us on Breaking News. Good night.